Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video we're going to be doing a Benji deck tech for you all today. I had a couple people lately ask me to do a Benji deck tech and kind of go through where I think the hero's at and what build I would run and things of that nature. So I'm going to kind of go into this. I've kind of given like really quick deck techs, but this is the one that I first have like seriously played with and like really wrapped my head around and kind of gone through. So we'll kind of go through it. Couple things. One, the deck is in a weird spot right now, right? Where it's like it's a good deck. So in my opinion, Benji is like a tier 2 blitz hero, in my opinion, if played correctly and played really properly and played really patiently. The issue with Benji right now is that Oldheim is just a menace right now. Viserai was really good. Dory's pretty good, right? Like a bunch of the top heroes have really good equipment. So it makes it really hard to push through and kind of play Benji the way, honestly, his probably like crazy pop off turn is, which is the Spring Titans like OTK. You definitely can still do it with Razor Reflex, Ancestral Empowerment, and even a couple other cards. But overall, it's something that is a little bit difficult to play. Because normally with Oldheim, right, most Oldheims and Blitz right now are running Tunic, running Crown, running Crater Fist, and then against you, they're probably going to bring in Ironhide Legs. So, I mean, that right there, Ironhide Legs by itself can block out Spring Titans without, unless it's Razored. Crater Fist can block Spring Titans, and then even Crown and Tunic or Crown and the second Crater Fist, whatever it is. Basically, that Oldheim has about it has definitely 6 block the first time around, then it has 5 block the second, and then it has one with Crater Fist and one with Tunic if it hadn't used Tunic the first time. So it has 2 block, then also has Crown Seed. So it just has a bunch of different ways to block out Benji's 2 power attacks if they so choose to use it. Dorinthia is the same way, where she has Courage Blade, Hold, Brage Force Bracers. Usually it's a Dawn Blade Dorinthia you're seeing, and even or Sabers and Courage and Bracers both will block out Spring Titans by themselves when used the first time. Her Dynamo keeps going, and she has Skull Cap. So all this to say that it's uphill battle to have that pop off turn. So the question is, like, without just saying like don't play Benji, how do you play this hero effectively and consistently to where it's still good, it's still a menace, and it's still hard even for those heroes that we're mentioning right now. So this is a list I came up with. It's a hybrid bit list of like high-low attacks. It's not like all low to the ground. I think a lot of people were, with Mask of Pouncing Lynx being a card, which is a great card for Benji, and with Spring Titans being a great card for Benji, I think people started falling into the trap of, using or just doing the whole game plan around Spring Titans, which is very good. If you can get a Razor and Arsenal and wait for Spring Titans, it's really good. But even against Oldheim, if they're disciplined, they're just going to wait till they see Spring Titans, and then they're just going to block for 5, to where you're basically going to have to Razor and Ancestral in order to get over the top. It's just really, really difficult. So you kind of got to play to different win conditions, and I'll kind of go over these right now. So we'll go over the deck first, and we'll talk about the win conditions. So we're running 4 defense reactions, Flick, Flack, and Sink Below, right? Pretty standard for Benji. 2 Sigil of Solaces, kind of have some sustain. The key with Benji is to block out or to block effectively as much as you can while waiting for one of your like pop off or setup turns. For the high-low aspect that I was talking about, we're running 6 attacks that are high, right? 2 Command and Conquers, 2 Enlightened Strikes, and 2 Flying Kicks. And then we're running Goliath Gauntlet in the arm piece in order to be able to make Command Conquer hit for 8 or Flying Kick hit for 9, hopefully, and just really like make the most of Benji's ability. Or not Benji's ability, but of Goliath Gauntlet's ability. So those are our high attacks. We're running 2 Razor Reflexes and 2 Ancestral Empowerments to try to get over the top with our Spring Titans or with Salt the Wound or with Break Tide or whatever it may be. And then finally down here, kind of standard, we're running 14 Blues, as you can see here. Lunging Press is another attack reaction we're running in the deck to try to throw our opponents off. And then we're also running Ride the Tailwind. Ride the Tailwind's really good. It gives Rushing River go again. It gives Break Tide go again if you're not comboing it. And it gives, it gives Rushing River go again, and it's just a great card because it's 1 and 2 costs. Sorry if you hear my dog paying aside. He's wanting to get pets. Just really good to give those cards go again. It's really nice doing like Ride the Tailwind into a blue Rushing River and then go get Break Tide for 5 Dominate go again, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So it's really good for that. I put in 2 Salt the Wounds. It's just a great card in Benji. If you can, draw multiple cards and then go get Salt the Wound and play it for like 7 or 8, it's really powerful after you've already probably dealt like 6 to 8 unblocked, and now you're threatening 7 or 8 again with a card that's originally only 2 power. It's really nice. So that's the basis of the deck. Super simple. So kind of getting into the bases of the deck, right? We're running Breezer Boots, Tunic, Gauntlet, and Lynx in the main board. The biggest things that people talk about with Benji is what mask to run. Do you run Mask of Pouncing Lynx or do you run Mask of Momentum? And the answer is both. There's a couple of good Benji players that have said the same thing, but basically in the aggro matchups, right? Like if you're running against like a Sai, or you're running against Sai is considered aggro, I guess, or you're running against like maybe a Briar, or even at the time running Viscerai, right? Cards are just decks that just hit super hard. You're going to want to run Mask of Pouncing Lynx because you can't wait for that perfect card to come up. You need to be able to go get it the second you need it. In more grinding matchups like Oldheim, or even like other kind of grindier matchups, you might want to use Mask of Momentum, where you can, threaten that draw effect and really try to force them to block with equipment or to prevent your draws. So it really depends on what you're doing. So Breezer Boots is always ran. It's just really good to give cards go again. It's not as applicable in this deck because there's less combo. I mean, we only have really 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 cards with combo or 10 cards with combo that don't have go again. So it's not as crazy, but it's definitely really good to be able to give those Rushing Rivers go again and kind of play to one of our win conditions. Overall, it's really good. I run Tunic in the main board, but you can run Best of the First Fist too. It does the same thing. Or even run Deep Blue. Heck, is really good as well. It just depends on what's best for you. I would prefer Tunic though. And so now we kind of get into the basis of the deck and like, how does this deck win, right? So the way to, I think, consistently win with Benji against those powerhouse blocking decks that have good equipment like Dory and Oldheim is you have to play to certain win conditions and you have to be able to be flexible. So option 1 obviously is the Spring Titans turn, right? You play out a couple of attacks. You have a Razor and Arsenal, maybe even an Ancestral in hand, hopefully. You play out Spring Titans. They basically either have to overblock and block for 5 with equipment, or defense reaction or something, or something of the like, and try to block out that Spring Titans. If they don't, then you're going to draw a lot of cards and you're going to OTK. I think everybody who's watching this and interested in Benji understands that. With Oldheim, it sucks a little bit more because he can defense react because he's not playing card from hand. He's pitching. It's his ability, so it's a little bit harder. So against Oldheim, like the Spring Titans is really hard to do. It's basically, if you're going to play for Spring Titans against Oldheim, you have to play late game. You have to play for like when he's used up some of his equipment, maybe on your break tides or like your heavy salt wound turns or something where he can't, where he's already used a little bit of equipment. Hopefully he hasn't been disciplined and he's really waiting for that, but he probably is going to, because most people are expecting that Spring Titans turn when they play against Benji and they're just holding their equipment for that. So that's win condition 1. That's obvious, right? Win condition 2 is not win condition, but another pop-off. I guess there's 3 pop-off plays. That's pop-off play 1 is Spring Titans. Pop-off play 2 is Salt the Wound. So similar to Spring Titans, except for out the draw effect. So you're trying to play out like 5, 6 attacks, 4 or 5 attacks. Maybe if you have Mask of Momentum and you've drawn off Mask of Momentum, and then you have a Salt the Wound in hand, or you Mask of Pouncing Lynx if you have this in your deck, and then you go get Salt the Wound and you play it out for 8 or 9, right? Or 7 or 8 or something like that if it's a lot of attacks have hit. Maybe you 100 wins, you Blue Rod the Tailwind, if you have a 5-card hand, right? And then you like Soul Bead Strike for 2, and then you pop Breeze, you break Tide for 2, now you have 4, and then maybe now you have one more attack, whatever it may be, right? Like Spring Titans, they block that out, or you go get Salt the Wound beforehand, any 5 cards, right? And then you pop Lynx, you go get Salt the Wound, maybe 4 of your attacks have hit, and all of a sudden it's hitting for 6 or 7. Maybe you even are able to use Kodachis. So it's a good way to close out games, or at least force out bad blocks. It just kind of depends on what you're doing. If you have a Razor to use with this as well, maybe it's coming in for 5 and you have 1 resource flowing with a Razor. That would be really nice, like a Tunic resource. It's just another way to possibly close out games. Not as powerful as Spring Tidings, but definitely an option that you can do. And then you finally have the last one is Break Tide. This one is basically you play Ride the. Ideally, you want to play Ride the Tailwind, get Go Again. Maybe you have Rushing River or Break Tide in hand. Either one, whichever one you don't have is the one you're going to get. You pop Breeze Rider Boots. You play out like let's say you have Rushing River in hand. You play Rushing River for 2 Go Again or 2 Go Again off blue. It hits, and you pop Links. Go get Break Tide, play Break Tide for 5, dominate Go Again because you pop Breeze Rider Boots, you banish, and then you keep playing out your turn as much as you can. That line works better when you have Mask Momentum. The same thing with Salt the Wound. Both those lines work better when you have Mask Momentum because you're going to continuously draw, whereas Spring Tidings is best with the Links build. But those are like your 3 pop-offy turns. And then the last thing you're doing to kind of get over the top is use like Flying Kick, Command and Conquer, and Lightning Strike. Use these at the end of long chains where maybe they're trying to come clap back at you and they've taken 6 to 8 damage unblocked because they can't really block it and they don't want to waste their equipment. If you attack for 6 damage, right, and they took 6, and then all of a sudden you pop Goliath Gauntlet and you're coming in with Command and Conquer for 8. And they're like, well, I just took 6 damage. Like, do I really want to take 8 more? And that's 14 life, right? So it's really good to throw them off in that way and kind of continue your turn. But that's the best way to do it. Against Oldheim, it's a super uphill battle. You have to get pressure super early. Against Oldheim, I highly suggest using Mask Momentum because you need to force them to use their equipment early to prevent you from drawing from Mask. And just grind it out. Try out, use your life as a resource. Use your Flick Flack, Sinks, and Sigils to keep your life up. And try your best. Hopefully they don't hit Oak and Old early. But they do have a lot of defense reactions that they can put in Arsenal. They have the defense reaction from Oldheim, and they have a shelf of equipment. So it's a super uphill battle. You're super unfavored, but it's not unwinnable in my opinion by any means. I think you can win with it. It's gonna be a grind. Dory's not as bad. She's probably gonna try to use her equipment earlier because she can't defense react you that much. In Blitz, they don't run a ton of defense reactions. They might run like some Dory lists. You might see like 2 Sinks and 2 Shunts or something like that. But Dawnblade Dory, in my experience, doesn't run as many D-reactions like Axes or Sabers. But it all depends. It's a little bit easier for them to get over the top with them because the best they're going to be able to do is block if they haven't used any of their equipment on Spring Tidings yet. The most block they're going to have is 6, which that's if they haven't used Skullcap, they haven't used Courage, they haven't used Bracers, and they haven't used Dynamo. That's the best way of looking at it. But most of the time, they've probably used 1 or 2 of those. So all you got to do is have to have a Razor Reflex in hand and be able to do that. The problem with Dory is you don't have a ton of 3 blocks in the deck. It's a decent amount. It's like half and a half. So you have to really use your life as a resource and try to come up with a pop-offy turn early. But yeah, that's the base of the deck. And the sideboard, Mask Momentum, again, comes in the more grindier matchups. I'm running 3 Null Rune against Kano. I keep Mask because Mask is the most important thing with Benji, in my opinion. That's the first faces in here. You could also put in Deep Blue. I don't have a full sideboard here, but you could put in Deep Blue. Like if I was going to an event, I would have these 5 cards in the sideboard, and then I probably would add in like Ironhide Gauntlets for Benji for the mirror, right? And even Ironhide Legs. Because you have a little bit more room in this sideboard to play with than you would in other Blitz heroes. Some people use the one chest piece where if you get dealt damage or you deal damage, you just get 1 resource. I forgot what it's called. It's a robe or like some type of like red robe. I forgot what it's called. Can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that's the basis of it. I don't run Zephyr Needle. I don't particularly like it. But you might like it yourself. Who knows? But yeah, this is the baseline of the deck. I think it's in a good spot. I think especially once Oldheim gets Living Legend, which if he even remotely does what he's supposed to, the skirmish, he will. I think this is a deck you could look for in the future. And with Fi coming out and with Fi being a really, really aggro, low to the ground deck, I think Fi might have some cards that Benji would like. But we'll see. So I think Benji's in a good spot. I definitely suggest learning him, playing him a lot, just grind him out. And I think he'll continue to get better as time goes on. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Let me know if it made sense. Any seasoned Benji players out there, give me your thoughts on the deck. Let me know what you think about it. Definitely would love to hear other people's opinions. I always put this on constructed so y'all can see the sideboard. But love to hear other people's opinions. you know, and see, you know, what people think of the hero overall. Yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Please leave a like, comment, or subscribe if you want. If not, go in our Flesh Spread career, do the same thing for them so we get more people seeing this game. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.